Welcome to the Darkstream, Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com, and unauthorized.tv. Good to see you all. Nice to see the big bear here. And good to see that the morale level is so high. Everybody's crushing it these days. Everybody is, firing up, coming through. The creators are creating, the supporters are supporting, the backers are backing. It's all good. It's all, there's so much for us to be thankful for this coming Thanksgiving, and thankful to God, just to be clear. We're never forgetting who we are, who we serve, what we stand for. And, the other side is terrified. What you're seeing in the world today, what you're seeing especially in the news today, what you're seeing in the technology sectors, what you're seeing is a clear expression of fear. They know that more and more is coming. They know that Logos is rising. They understand that we're not afraid of them anymore. We're not running from them anymore. I had to laugh when I saw that the ADL has released a new list of people who should be deplatformed from Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. One of them was E. Michael Jones. And when you see that, that they are this desperate, some people look at what they're doing and they think, they're targeting us, they're taking action, and all this sort of thing. The reason that they're doing it is because they're getting increasingly desperate. Think about how completely freaked out they were after Trump got elected. They never believed she would lose. And so when you see all of these actions, you realize that something is going on. You know that something is going on behind the scenes. And, we have a pretty good idea of what it is. Now, I don't pretend to know, what is true and what is not true with regards to Q. Our version, Alt Hero Q, is totally fictitious, right? But think about it. Why would they go to the lengths of attacking a fictitious comic book just because it referenced Q? There's plenty of reason to be cautiously skeptical about these things, right? Except for the fact that we again and again, we've seen events happening that are much more in line with what we might call the Q perspective than the mainstream perspective. The mainstream was telling us for months, if not years, about Russian collusion. Q told us it was total nonsense, that there was nothing there. Who was right? One of the main aspects of scientific utility, the utility of the scientific method, is because it serves as a predictive model. What has been the most accurate predictive model? The mainstream media, the conservative media, Q, or the Q skeptics? It's much more in line with what Q has been telling us. Now, what I thought was really, really interesting was that Representative Adam Schiff, who is clearly about as swampy as it's possible for a representative to get, he came out and he talked about not turning over, trying to pass impeachment, and then not turning over the articles of impeachment to the Senate, as everyone has assumed you're supposed to do for 200 years. Now, it's true, the Constitution doesn't spell out when it was supposed to go. Yeah, this guy's banned for lying. I know the guy who was playing Q. That's funny. Has nothing to. Yeah, again, they can tell all the lies that they want. What do you pay attention to? You pay attention to whose predictions are more in line with what actually happens. That's always who you should pay attention to. Absolutely always. And so there's been a lot of talk about this large number, this unusually large number of sealed indictments. I don't know what the number's up to now. Something like, it might even be over 100,000 by now. And so what do we see Schiff come out and say? He's talking about these articles of impeachment. Now, do you really think that that is an accident? More than an indictment. They are actual charges. If you think about it, what is an indictment? An indictment is an indication that you are going to be charged with a crime. It's not the same thing as actually being charged with a crime, if I'm correct. But more importantly, there's nothing sealed about it. If the articles of impeachment pass, if they vote, then the charges have been laid out. And it is incorrect. Okay, so an indictment is okay. Let me back up a second then. An indictment means that you've got the charges. Fine. I took it too far. But there's nothing sealed about open charges, right? Not only that, everybody knows who's being charged. It's the president. So it's not it's not a sealed indictment. So why would Schiff specifically say, oh, it's like a sealed indictment? And the answer is very simple. First of all, it's important to remember that these people project. Anytime they're talking about something, just like with this whole, quid pro quo thing with Ukraine, they accused Trump of a quid pro quo in Ukraine because that's what they were guilty of. Joe Biden and Hunter Biden are absolutely guilty 100% of corruption and quid pro quos, and all the stuff that they've been saying about Trump is true about them. So when Schiff starts talking about sealed indictments, he's projecting. He's thinking about the sealed indictments that are aimed in his direction, and very likely at him. Think mirror. That's actually a very good way of putting it. And so I believe that what Schiff is doing is he is trying to I believe that he is trying to get Trump to back off. He's doing exactly what you will see some of these deplatforming companies, these companies who are deplatforming people. One of the first things that they will do once they realize the legal peril that they're in is they'll threaten to come after you. This is standard practice by any big name law firm. They will threaten to come after you, and then they will say, "Oh, well, you're coming after us, and we're going after you. So let's just all walk away. Let's just leave things as they are." And that's what Schiff is doing there. He's got nothing. He knows that the Trump administration has a tremendous amount of stuff, but he's trying to play that standard lawyer's game. Well, we're going to hit you back too, so we should all just walk away. You should leave us alone. And so that's what I believe he is doing. And obviously, Trump is not taking the deal. And again, this is yet another indication of what we've heard from Q: no deals. There's nothing they can do. It's all very interesting to see how it is playing out. And so when we look at what's happening here, look at how much closer. I mean, I know everybody who has paid any attention to Q whatsoever is a little frustrated that Hillary's not in jail, that all these people haven't been rounded up and arrested and so forth. But it does look like it's coming. Doesn't it look a lot more like it's coming than it did 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 18 months ago? I mean, people are saying, "Oh, Trump's not doing anything." If Trump wasn't doing anything, then why are they panicking? Why are they bringing this incredibly weak, totally non-existent impeachment attempt? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it's not happening for no reason. If you think about it, a lot of us are frustrated that Trump has not come through with a lot of the positive promises that he made. We're frustrated with what he's done with DACA. We're frustrated with what he's done or hasn't done with the wall and immigration and so forth, right? I am. It's frustrating that he hasn't stood up as much as we'd like to see him stand up for his people, his supporters. It's frustrating that he's allowed big tech to get away with all this stuff that they're doing. I get it. I'm frustrated too. But when you look at what hasn't happened, when you look at what they have been trying to do that he has prevented, then we've actually seen quite a bit. We've actually seen quite a bit of action on the trade front, especially vis-a-vis China, but not just vis-a-vis China, but a lot of the other things. I can tell we have a new subscriber. He wants to know my thoughts on a video that someone uploaded. I don't watch videos, so never ask me what I think about somebody else's video. Never ask me to watch somebody's video. It's not going to happen. I don't do it. See all the books? I'm a book guy. I read. So, anyhow, there has been a tremendous amount of, shall we say, negative progress in terms of things that would normally have happened haven't happened. Furthermore, we've also seen a tremendous amount of arrests of people in the, let's say these people are sick mode. Epstein is neutralized. He's done. He's gone. He was a major intelligence operation right in the heart of New York. That's done. And so, we're not at war with Russia. We are not active in the Middle East. We're much, and he hasn't sent any new troops anywhere else. And so, and a lot of people now understand, like the White Rabbit said, it takes time to do things properly. You have to get good judges in place, or the cases will just get dismissed by corrupt judges, right? We know that. And think about it. What is one area where Trump has been very, very active? The judges. Judges under Trump. Let's look up and see how many. There's a list of okay. Here's an article, November 6, 2019. President Donald J. Trump is appointing a historic number of federal judges. Working with the Senate, President Trump now has had 158 judicial nominees confirmed to the federal bench, a historic transformation of the judiciary. President Trump has nominated and had confirmed 2 Supreme Court justices, 44 Circuit Court judges, and 112 District Court judges. He has appointed more circuit judges by this point in his presidency than any president in recent history. Now, this is key here. Approximately 1 out of every 4 active judges on the United States Courts of Appeals has been appointed by President Trump. This historic transformation is accelerating, with President Trump on pace to have is laying the groundwork for what we call the storm. And so, to say that he hasn't done anything is just flat out wrong. I've said again and again that he is the best president we've had since Andrew Jackson. And if he follows through on this, then it will be very clear that he is the greatest president in the history of the United States, even in his first term. And so, we have to have hope. We have to be confident. If you don't mind me saying so, I do think we should trust the plan, because we have seen evidence that there is a plan in place. We don't know exactly what it is, but we have a pretty good idea. And so, and what are we given? What are we given as Christians? Are we given skepticism? Are we given fear? Are we given doubt? No, absolutely not. We are given courage, faith, and hope. We are given all of those things. And so it is right for us to hope. It is right for us to have faith through human instruments. 10,000s. He was a ruthless killer. He was so bloody-handed that he was not permitted to build God's temple. But God used him. The Apostle Paul, persecuted Christians. I don't think he was a killer himself, but he was certainly aiding and abetting the killers of Stephen, the Apostle Stephen. And yet God used him. So it's not impossible that God would use a multiply married, adulterous, rich playboy. Because if you look at Trump's actions, if you look at Trump's courage, he didn't need to do any of this. He didn't need to do any of this stuff to have a great life. His wife is one of the hottest supermodels of the last 30, since the supermodel was invented. I always thought she was smoking hot back in the day. He's rich. He's got a huge place in Florida. He's got his own golf course in Scotland. He's got his own tower in New York. What more do you want? Do you think that he needed this stuff? Absolutely not. What he's doing is a massive sacrifice. And what does he do? The point that really drove it home for me that we were dealing with somebody who was potentially a great man was when he stood up during the campaign and he said, I am here, I'm here to take the arrows for you. I take these arrows for you gladly. Who does that sound like? Greater love has no man than this, than he lays down his life for his friends. Joshua Bryant says, has Trump shown contrition toward God over the flaws we're assuming? Well, we're not assuming the flaws. His flaws are public record. We don't know, and it's not our concern. But his behavior over the past 3 years or so has been consistent with somebody who has had a major transformation of his heart, and someone who has had a serious burden put upon him. Somebody, Big Bear's here, and somebody said, why is it that you trust Owen? There's all these people around, all these, e-celebs, talking heads, media folks. Why on earth would you team up with a, left-wing lunatic like Owen Benjamin? Why would you ever do that? And I said, well, it's very simple. I trust Owen. I trust Owen much more than I trust most of these, media, media people, YouTubers, wannabe media whores, etc., etc. Even though Owen politically was obviously retarded not very long ago. If I recall correctly, he voted for Obama. Why would you ever vote for Obama? From my perspective, that's just ridiculous. Well, the answer is very simple. Owen's one of the few people that I know who was offered the world and turned it down. Who else did that? So so whose footsteps was he following in when he did that? He's one of the only people that you can trust in that regard. Does that mean that he's always going to make good decisions? Does that mean that he's always going to be on the side of the good, the beautiful, and the true? No, but you can't know that about anyone. You can't know that about yourself. The point is that when they make you the offer, it is a rare individual who has the courage and the insight and the self-confidence to say no. I don't want the world. I don't want your ticket. I will not take the bait. I would rather continue to live in obscurity and be dependent upon my own vices, on my own devices, and understand that I am never going to catch one of these magical breaks that propels people into wealth and fame and all those other things. You know, none of that stuff is organic. You understand that, don't you? Very, very little that happens in this world is organic. And there are a few other people that I know, and I'm not going to name any names, but there are some of them here in this chat. They turned down the ticket too. And that's why I trust them. Because I know that they will accept, loss, that they will accept sacrifice, that they will accept, a lot of things that most people won't, just because they're not willing. And maybe you would. Maybe you would. But are you willing to live for it, even if it means giving up some of the things that you most want, some of the things that you have worked for your entire life? Can you give up that aspect of your life? A lot of people can't, especially because they don't spell it out. Now, Lady Gaga claims that it was actually it was very clearly spelled out to her. Maybe it was sometimes. But in general, it's more akin to a seduction. Hey, here's a record contract. Oh, hey, you're recording in the studio. We just happened to bring over a bunch of weed and cocaine. Oh, hey, after you guys finish recording, we're all going out to this rave. And we'll introduce you to a lot of cute girls. And it's very, very easy to take one step, and then the next step, and then the next step, and eventually, they'll start asking you to, just do somebody a favor. Just look the other way. And so, and this is something that is directed, this seduction is something that is directed to most people who are highly talented in some degree. I'll give you an example. Nick Cole, very successful author. He's successful again now, but what a lot of people don't realize is that he was extremely successful when Amazon first took the ebooks big. He was the #1 best-selling author on Amazon, period, before Hugh Howey. This is right before Hugh Howey got pumped up, which, by the way, was not organic either. Nick's was. And he immediately got snapped up by HarperCollins. But HarperCollins then discovered that he was a Christian, and he wouldn't take the ticket either. In Control-Alt-Revolt, which is, and we're proud to publish the print edition of that, in Control-Alt-Revolt, there's a little throwaway joke. It's a little throwaway joke about artificial intelligence, and the artificial intelligence looks at the humans and concludes that humans are not rational because they kill their own children. It's a reference to abortion. And just one little throwaway reference. Remember, this guy is so talented that he's occasionally compared to Hemingway. He's been the #1 best-selling author on Amazon. One editor comes across this negative reference to abortion. He's not even taken a position. It's not a political book in any way, shape, or form. And they bury his books. They bury his career. Now, Nick is so good and so talented that he, on his own, after Castalia publishes one or two of his things, he gets together with Jason Anspach. They do this Star Wars, not Star Wars thing called Galaxy's Edge, which, fortunately for them, just happens to be the name that Disney ends up adopting for its theme park not long afterwards. And kaboom! Suddenly he's one of Amazon's best-selling authors again. He did it separately twice with no help. What does the Big Five publishing company do to him? They sink his career. Why? Because he wouldn't take the ticket. He wouldn't play ball. And so, dollars for a special. Can't tell as many funny jokes that make people laugh as a bear in an aircraft hangar. You know. And so when you look at when you look at that, you realize that the world is very different than you think it is. And that's where we get to the whole Q world, Q perspective, because Q is taking those observations, those clear observations that I've shared with you, and it's expanding it into an entire model of how things work. And so, so that's why, we're in our little community. We have the Legion, we have the Bears, and so forth. It's growing. Logos is rising. More people are hearing what we're saying, coming to agree with what we're saying. And there's going to be more people attempting to, the ADL's possibly going to, start trying to take direct shots at us. They've already taken a little pot shot here and there at me. But we're not afraid of them. They're afraid of us. And they have reason to be. Because we have God on our side, and they only have the prince of this world. That's who they serve. You understand that. We're not dealing with, we're not dealing with ultimately a human problem. It's ultimately a spiritual problem. It's ultimately evil behind it all, and we know it. And so, of course, they'll use literally anything to try to get people to not listen to you. They'll use anything to try to get people to stay deceived. But that's why people like Owen are so important, because when he's talking about killing the wizards and breaking the spells, he's talking about removing their ability to deceive and manipulate you. You know, so don't be afraid to speak the truth. Don't be afraid of the people of the lie. I mean, think about it. You know they're liars. So when they brag about their power, they brag about their accomplishments, you know they're lying. They're always lying. So let's see here. I want to let you know about this. A friend of ours has a Indiegogo campaign starting tomorrow, and he prepared this little video. So I'm going to play it for you here for a second, and enjoy, and then I'll be back. That's Zammy Pup's first children's book. The campaign will start tomorrow, and you know, if that's something that appeals to you, Zammy does some wonderful work with injured and sick children, and he spends practically every day he's visiting children and cheering them up. And I think that if that's something that is a giant like Clifford, just about, I mean, the dog is immense. We actually had Channel Zammy on Unauthorized for a little while, but what we soon learned is that 15-second Instagram videos were not really the kind of thing that our folks wanted to see. And so we decided to not continue to show them on Unauthorized, just leave it on Instagram. But what we are doing is we are, Castalia House will be publishing that book. And so it's going to be, it's going to be a lot of fun. And the art is very cute, and it won't surprise me if the book does well. Yeah, these are just like, it's just a short little children's book. So let's see, a couple people have asked about Deluxe. Somebody said, I mean, Deluxe is something that is for everybody. If you like books, if you love books, you know, don't hesitate to support it. I'm actually very pleased to be able to tell you all that we have actually exceeded the 80% uptake from the original interest. You may recall that when I asked people to send me email to indicate they were interested, I said, please don't, please don't email me unless you're at least 80% interested in actually doing this. And we're now at 81% of the total of people who express interest in Castalia Deluxe, which is very cool. And I can tell you that as a result of that, we've decided to go ahead and make the initial print run of the first Castalia Deluxe book, which is The Missionaries. The first print run is going to be 500. So just and that's all we're doing. So if you want to make sure that you get a book, make sure that you sign up for the Castalia Deluxe subscription. Link is under the channel. The books, however many books we have between the 500 and the number of subscribers, those will be for sale, but they will sell for $125, whereas the subscriptions are $100. So, so you'll benefit from the subscription rather than waiting. Also, we finally, or not finally, we decided on the end papers, and the end papers are going to be a very cool 1922 map of, what was the name? Of the archipelago, I think. It is a map of the Louisiade archipelago, the 1922 nautical chart. And let me see if I can, here we go. It's kind of cool because it's a real map. It sold for 40 cents back in 1922. And let's see here. It was published at the Hydrographic Office under the authority of the Secretary of the Navy. So, and we may have made a little addition to it. There may be an island that doesn't actually exist that is now on there. So it's really going to be, I mean, these books are going to be beautiful. We're I think I showed you last night. For those who didn't see it before, this is the title page of the missionaries, and the limited edition of 500 is now decided. So, a couple questions here. Can I change my credit card for the deluxe subscription later? I believe so. I mean, what you can probably do is cancel your subscription and start a new one with the new credit card. But it might be possible to actually change it. I don't know. We'll look into that. Be Good Bear says, are you okay with us dropping our top unauthorized subscription down a few notches to get into Castalia Deluxe? I think you should do whatever you want. You're supporting us either way, and we appreciate that. So, although there are only there are only a total of 3 notches. So, if you're a premium member and you want to drop down to Feed the Bear and sign up for Castalia Deluxe, that's a net win, from our perspective. So we're certainly not going to complain. You added Azeroth. Yeah, wasn't Azeroth, but let's see. Would you ever consider producing a nice quality Bible to pass down? Yeah, there's a very good chance that we will do that at some point in time. There's a lot of projects that our production editor and I want to do. There's a lot of cool things. And if we're successful enough, we're going to do some things that people are not going to expect. When should we expect the missionaries to ship? I'm hoping for January, but we'll see. Remember, we've never actually worked with this bindery before, so we don't know what the timeframes are. It's definitely very different than the way that we normally do our business, where we can get a book through the system in 2 or 3 hours. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But we're designing the title pages. We're working on the gold foil cover and the spine. We're working on the end papers, you know, as you know from the reference to the map. I'm not working on Sea of Skulls at the moment, so that's Sea of Skulls will be done when it's done. You know, I mean that's just you know, for me that's a labor of love, and even I don't I appreciate that people are interested in the arts of dark and light, and I take them I take it very seriously, but I literally spend no time thinking about when it's going to be done. You know, it's 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 something that is with me always, and so uh, you know, I'm from the id Software school. It will be done when it's done. Did you like Earthsea? Absolutely not. I hated it. Hated it. Um, yeah, no, goat skin is awesome, but yeah, that's only for library. It's too expensive to do it for Castalia Deluxe. Let's see here. All right, Vox, did you hear about Jordan Peterson telling Milo to tell you hi from? Yeah, we actually played it on this channel a while ago. Let's see here. Yeah, it will not be a Schofield Bible. That's the one thing I can tell you. And yes, I did like Zelazny's Amber. I would love to do a deluxe version of the Chronicles of Amber. And Vox using Aetherdad is using the Infogalactic plugin for Brave, working flawlessly so far. Excellent. That's good. Um, Now let's do the super chats. Oh, and I should probably, since we just talked about it, I should probably give you the link to Deluxe. If you wonder why I am mentioning Deluxe so often the last couple days, it's because the ability to sign up for it for the is going to be modified starting December 1st. So that's something to keep in mind. You can still do it, but you're going to have to pay the entire. There'll be a $50 sign up fee plus the $50 a month in order to keep you on the schedule with everybody else. So just something to keep in mind. There we go. Then let's see here. Super chats. Okay. DA says, loving corporate cancer. Thanks for all you do. Delighted to hear it, and you're very welcome. Thanks for all your support. Elfin says, are you surprised that Master Shi hasn't crushed Hong Kong yet? No, there's no need to. We'll talk more about that in the future, probably pretty soon. But I'm not the least bit surprised because time is on his side. My understanding is that they're actually siphoning off the people that they want from Hong Kong and getting them to move to Shenzhen and other places. So I don't think Hong Kong is going to be that important 20 years from now. Berserker says, Sisu! Exclamation point. I don't know what that means. Oh, here's the question I had. Grimlock69 said, think the other day you advised against deluxe if not yet a serious reader. Should I just buy regular versions of books if I still want the knowledge? Don't want to go back on my word saying I'd join. I think that you're fine. You're obviously intelligent and interested in this stuff. And the fact that you just dropped a $15 super chat means that you have the ability to support this kind of stuff. It's worth supporting. And I don't think that you'll regret it, especially not because, we'll see what happens in the book collector's market, but we're doing a smaller print run than Easton Press does. of similar books. Their print runs are like 900. So, from a collectible standpoint, this is set up nicely, even if you don't bring into the whole quality aspects of it. DA says Schiff's comment is a Freudian slip. Same with Hillary's rope comment and Kasich's comments on McCain. Something is on the collective minds. That's what I meant when I said they're afraid. They know the storm is coming. And we can, I think, reasonably conclude that the storm is coming because of the fearful way they are acting. Cordell Mitchell says, are you tired of winning yet? Not even a little bit. I know I'm not. Keep crushing, Vox. It's a lot easier to crush with hundreds of people like you behind us. Actually, that's not true. We have thousands of you behind us, and we appreciate it. Corbett Plastering Inc. says, how does Trump's decision to declare the cartels or terrorist organizations play into the storm? I believe that is going to allow him to hit their financing. One of the big areas that Trump and the Q team has been very, very active and effective is hammering the finances of the deep state. And so I suspect that the cartels are enabled. I think that they're probably partnered in a number of ways with the deep state. And so I expect that that's going to impede their ability to fund things. The Walrus says, thanks for what you do. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Bunny Bear says, happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. Much love from Kentucky. Always good to hear from Kentucky. And happy Thanksgiving to your family too. Jack Cool says, a lot of other army whites think that America is just going along as great as it was when World War II ended. Then they're not paying much attention. What would you say to them to show them Clown World? Well, at this point in time, I would just share a few of Q's predictions with them and let them see, point it out when those things come to pass. Kevin Crater says, do you write at a typewriter when writing a book? No, I use LibreOffice and Scrivener on my Windows desktop. Gene Durtal says, any thoughts on new Half-Life game being VR only? No, I'm not surprised though. I mean, Valve wants to push the envelope, and so that's one of the ways they can do it. I wish they were focused on AI rather than graphics, but that's always been their way. That was, we obviously made the mistake. We went AI, they went graphics and scripted, and they won. Thoughts on General MacArthur, under overrated? Probably overrated. Probably overrated. So I think we're caught up. We are. Good. So, so that's all I have for tonight. Look forward to seeing you at the next time. Keep up your courage, keep up your hope, keep up your faith. That's what we're given. So use it. I'm Vox Day. This is the Darkstream.